What is going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Everybody stare longingly into my terrible transmog. I'm never changing it. I'm not apologizing for it either. Now it's stuck in your brain, and you're welcome. I want to talk about Disc Priest today. Oh my god, I'm having so much fun playing this thing right now. It is so freaking good. It is so good. I'm gonna go over the buffs that happen to Disc Priest, particularly the shadow stuff that came in. The new build that we're kind of running with. I'm going to get to dungeon footage in a second. And I have a bunch of things I want to talk about in the dungeon. So let's push through these talents pretty quickly. I ended up, what I am doing, a plus 17, I think it's a 17 Azure Vault or something. We'll get to it in a second. The talents are very interesting. If you've been playing Disc Priest at all recently, you'll be playing this shield build. It has to do with, Divine Aegis, then you tend to go down and get Wheel and Woe. You don't really touch Light's Wrath. You might put 1 point into it, but generally not. You have, Harsh Discipline into Blaze of Light, Wheel and Woe, and you're just doing shields. It's shields on shields on shields. That's what you're doing. We've now shifted to the other side of the tree, and because all the Shadow stuff got buffed. So Shadow Covenant, for example, automatically transforms Penance now into Dark Reprimand. You used to have to take an entire extra talent to do that, but you don't anymore. The extension on Embrace Shadow, it used to make Shadow Covenant last 4 seconds longer. Now it is 8 seconds longer. So your Shadow Covenant lasts for 15 seconds. You can make Schism last 15 seconds too. I'm currently not right now in this build. I don't actually know why. I might have to change that, but doesn't matter. These can both last for 15 seconds. This got buffed. Abyssal Reverie just says Atonement heals for 20% more when activated by your shadow spells if you choose to take it. Atonement, the base value of Atonement is 40%. So now you can heal for 60%. That might actually be a really interesting talent. I didn't take it right now because I can't fit it in, but just something to think about. Then we get into the Mindbender stuff. So you're taking Mindbender, 1 minute cooldown. But then you're reducing the cooldown on Mindbender with Void Summoner, and you're getting the Inescapable Torment Slashes as well, which all do shadow damage. So what does this mean in practice? It basically means that you have a build, because of Void Summoner, your Mindbender is literally a 20 to 30 second cooldown at most. It's not a 1 minute cooldown, it's like 20 to 30 seconds depending on what you're doing. You throw up Mindbender, you put atonements on everybody, and then you can buff your shadow damage, okay? So you can get like 25% more shadow damage here, and you can get 15% more damage, period, with Schism. And then you can throw your Mindbender out there, so you're doing 40% more shadow damage. And his stuff, all of his Inescapable Torment damage, all of his stuff is going to do more shadow damage. And then that's going to go into healing because of your Atonement. So it's a really interesting combo. Don't forget as well, Mind Games does shadow damage, okay? So this gets buffed by this combo here, in particular Shadow Covenant, 25% more shadow damage. So it's just really cool. You can basically put out your Mindbender, and then you can pop your big coolies here, and if you have atonements out already, it'll do insane amounts of healing and insane amounts of damage. The other big buff that came in here is Dark Indulgence. Mind Blast gets an additional charge, and its mana cost is reduced. This is a big deal. Mind Blast having its mana cost reduced is a big deal. It only costs 2,400 mana. My Smite's 1,000, but Penance is 4,000, and that's considered a pretty efficient spell. So the fact that Mind Blast gets 2 charges and costs basically no mana now is huge. Really, really good stuff there. Let me just show you this really quickly. Finish off with the talent section here. We are taking Lenience. We're still taking Harsh Discipline. That's pretty important there. I'm taking double Pain Suppression plus the cooldown reduction on Pain Suppression. I think this is really good. There's other people who have talked about it as being a bit of a handy, like a bit of a... like if you need it, if you're not very good at Discipline Priest necessarily, you could take this. And I think I agree with them. I'm not particularly amazing at Disc Priest yet. I need to get way more practice in. I just play way too many specs, so the muscle memory isn't totally there. So having 2 charges of Pain Sup is amazing. I really love it. It's really, really good. So here's like a combo you could do. Get rid of there. Here's a combo you can do. So let's say, you're starting a pack. Basically, at the start of a pack, you want to get your dots rolling, get Purge the Wicked rolling, and then try to get a Penance proc farm. So let's get like 3 dots. Oops, get 3 dots rolling. Then we're going to go and get a Penance proc going, ready to go. Okay. So we've got our Penance proc farm, and you got your dots rolling. Then the damage starts rolling in. You could pop your Radiance. It just automatically Radiance there. Then you do your Everything's automatic, which is terrible. But the point is, you do some inescapable torment damage with your Mindbender, okay? And everything's all screwed up because I hit some PvP enemies, but you're going to cast Shadow Word Death and your Mind Blast a couple times. I'm not going to give you, this is not a full guide on how to do the rotation. I'm just letting you know. Generally speaking, you want to get your dots rolling first. Have a big penance proc farmed and ready to go. And then look at how quickly your Mindbender comes back just by casting your regular spells. It's insane. So this is why I'm saying your Mindbender is like a 20-second cooldown. Mindbender's back. Then you get into your Mind Blast, and Shadow Word Death. That's all that damage there. If you had Atonements out, that would have healed everybody as well. Okay? So just keep that in mind. That's your kind of combo there. Now, that will heal everybody and do lots of damage. Expiation is the last one I want to talk about. It increases the damage of Mind Blast and Shadow Word Death, which is really good. And then it consumes your Purge the Wicked to do extra damage. If I look at the temple that I did, for example, my expiation, oh, I didn't have it on that one. Yep, I didn't have it yet. Let me look at another one. Do I have it on this one? Yeah, here we go. 5% of my damage just from it consuming my hots, basically, which is really, really good. So that's kind of how the build works, guys. It's Mindbender all the time, all day. You summon him, and then you get Atonements out, and then you do a bunch of damage with Mindbender, and he heals everybody from all the shadow damage that he's dealing as well. So it's a great little combo that works quite well. I think it's fantastic. Let me just put this over here, and then we're going to jump into the footage really quickly here, and I'm going to punch my way through this. I don't want to take the entire day, but we're just going to highlight some important stuff. On the Azure Vaults, this is an Azure Vault 16, pardon me. The opening section here is really important. This is so dangerous, right? They start casting the dot that goes on everybody, and it will nuke. It'll just kill everybody, basically. So this is where Mass Dispel is really good. What you can also do, basically, here is blow all your cooldowns. So I put Barrier down. I don't use Mass Dispel yet. But the tornadoes are really the part that kills me. I need to just be standing like next to the tank or something so that he can get hit by the tornadoes. It works out for now. We covered all the damage. We're doing like 50k HPS, by the way. We covered all the damage with the barrier and with the radiance and a couple of other things. But here comes the second round. I was about to Mass Dispel right here, but look at my position. I'm standing on a tornado. This is not a good thing. I end up dying. Everybody else ends up dying. So if I had been standing in a better position here, if I had looked at these tornadoes and said, no, dog, I'm going to run to the left instead, get me out of here, then I could have Mass Dispelled everybody and we would have lived. But I messed it up, and that's the result. Then we actually chain pulled and died and died and died, and that's okay. We're just going to skip ahead. But just remember that. Be aware of your positioning at all times so that you can get your spells out. If you can get a Mass Dispel out there, everybody will live. So, lots of damage going on here, but we can actually cover it. We have decent... Watch this Radiance here. This is one thing that was recently buffed in the patch 10.0.5. They doubled the healing of Radiance. Watch this Radiance go off. Boom! It just keeps everybody going. If I had had the old Radiance there, everybody would have died. So the new Radiance is absolutely busted, in my opinion. The double healing from it is so insane. I have Pain Suppression on the Monk. I basically Pain Suppress the Monk... Not quite on cooldown. There's another Radiance. Look at this. Watch this Radiance here. This is an even better one. Everybody's basically dying. Everybody's at almost half health. Radiance just puts people to full. And it's just crazy how good this spell is. So it's a bit of a crutch in the sense that you don't want to rely on Radiance to do all your healing. That's not how Disc Priest is supposed to play. You're supposed to do Radiance into a bunch of Atonement healing. But if you're a player like me and you're not super good at this spec yet, just use Radiance as your kind of crutch, and it's okay. Don't worry about it. It will dig you out of so many holes, man. It will keep you safe, I promise. Let me skip ahead here past this trash. We'll get to the boss. One thing I wanted to say about the Monk is that I was pain suppressing the Monk basically on cooldown, and that's okay. You guys need to understand, I'm just drinking here. You need to understand that the different tanks that you run with will provide different challenges for you as a healer, and they'll also give you different buffs. You know, this Monk did a lot of damage. He was actually a joy to heal. There's nothing wrong with him at all. I can tell what the state of the Monk's health bar is at by the color of his stagger, right? So you can see his health bar here, but if the stagger starts to get red, then I know that I need to focus on the tank pretty hard here. And he was doing a good job helping himself here. I wasn't even really focusing on him at all, and I should have been because he needed the help. So there's a moment here where I think I do give him a pain suppression before the big tank smack, which is pretty brutal. But here comes the explosive brand. These circles are going to detonate around the different flowers. This is not even the most dangerous part. It does do a bit of damage there. But then I start going to a rapture window right here. I start rapturing. And I start power word shielding everybody right here because the dangerous part is coming up. Consuming Stomp is coming up right now. This is going to go off. And I've raptured, shielded everybody, and boom. Basically, nobody took any damage. So that's how you want to use your cooldowns as Disc Priest. You want to get ahead of the damage that's coming in. And that's something you can do. Now, I can see that the monk is red. He's very red. So that's kind of dangerous. He did use his Purifying Brew there to get rid of a bunch of stagger. Good on him. But now the next tank mechanic is coming up. Infused Strike is the tank mechanic. I have Pain Suppression available. I have 2 of them. I need to hit him with a Pain Suppression right now, and I didn't. And so he loses, like, most of his health. He was anticipating it. Watch how quickly he heals here. Look at how quick. He goes down to, like, no health, and then he just immediately goes back to full. So he knew what he was doing there. And then I Pain Suppress him after. Again, this is a product of me just not understanding, not playing Disc Priest enough to know exactly when these things are coming in and to know when to use them. So that's on me. That's a mistake. I got to work on that. Explosive brand number 2. I don't have Rapture this time, so we're going to pre-cast a Radiance. I think I do. I think I hold my Radiance right here because he's doing his big burst thing. There's a Radiance right. It's coming up right now. So Consuming Stomp is coming, and I'm casting a Radiance right now. Everybody gets topped almost so that they don't die. Then I'm trying to just go in and heal everybody up. If I hadn't done Radiance there, people would have died. So sometimes you have to gauge it and figure out, like, what can I use here? Generally with Radiance, you want Radiance to go off right after the damage has come through so that it immediately gets people back to, like, a decent amount of health. And then afterwards, you can heal up the rest of the health with Atonement healing. Okay. Here's the midsection of the dungeon with all these guys. I Pain Suppress the monk right away again because he's doing such a good job of just holding all the aggro. I didn't even realize it at the time, but this is literally a monk and 4 ranged DPS. It's crazy how well this monk did. He's just sitting up there like a Chad all by himself. And this section of the dungeon is annoying because of all these blue swirlies. They're going off all the time, forcing you to have to move. So you need to be very careful about when you're casting, you know, which abilities you're casting and when. Make sure you're keeping your tank alive because you're going to have to be moving and casting, moving and casting, moving and casting. So something, again, you just have to get used to as you do the dungeon more. For a Brewmaster Monk, it's always a good idea to actually heal him with Penance. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Sometimes they kind of need it because you need to get rid of that red stagger if they don't have a Purifying Brew left. So just be nice to your monks and help them out. Help your Brewmaster out. Once again, we have to move. Cast and move. Cast and move. There's a Penance. Cast and move. Here comes the patrol. He doesn't want to pull it yet because he doesn't want to bolster it. Very, very good move there by the monk. He's playing very well. Then I think it's not on this pack. I just want to get to the pack where he decides to pull 2 of them together. I'm going to show you this really quickly. It's down on the next platform. So again, he's in red stagger. I Pain Suppress him. I'm just going to let him do his thing, and I'm going to slowly keep him going. But Pain Suppression is kind of what he needs there. He just needs a bit of time. Just buy him some time so that he can keep himself alive. That's kind of what you're looking at there. I did use Radiance there. That's a waste. There's multiple times in this dungeon where I end up using Radiance, and really what I need to just be doing is using Power Word Shield and Flash Heal on the tank because he's the only one dying. The rest of us aren't taking a single lick of damage because he's tanking them all and he's kicking stuff that needs to be kicked. That was a huge Power Word Life. This is the value of Power Word Life. Look at this sucker. 222,000 healing on Power Word Life. Look at where his health bar went to. Goes ding right down to 0 here basically. Look at he's so low. We just pull him 63k. We pull him right out of the grave. That's so crazy. So Power Word Life is a very good talent. Don't forget to use it. And again, the cooldown of it almost gets reset because I used it that way. Yep, it's not here. Is it on this pack? No. Again, this is like the whole dungeon for me is just keeping the monk alive. You can see nobody else's health bar even moves. So this is where you need to adapt as a healer and shift your focus to, like, what is my normal playstyle? It doesn't matter what your normal playstyle is. This is a dungeon where you might want to take double pain suppression. You might want to use your barrier, and you might want to use your rapture a little bit differently than you might otherwise use them. So I'll show you that actually in action right here. after this pack, I believe. Yeah. He pulls these next 2 packs together. So he pulls those 2 guys and these 3 guys together, which is a bit of a dangerous pull, but on higher keys, you have to take risks like this. So then I finally realized, okay, I have pain suppression on him right now. I'm going to get that rolling. So now I'm free to just like do whatever. Spread some more atonements if I want. He's okay for the next little while. Then I realized, you know what? I don't need to use barrier on the rest of the team. My tank just needs barrier. So I'm going to plop a barrier down for him so that he can just stand in it and stay alive. I've used pain suppression. Now I'm using barrier. In a second here, I'm going to use Rapture, and I'm basically only going to Rapture the tank because I finally realized, hey, he's the only one who's getting slapped around here. So I'm into Rapture right now. I Rapture a couple of other people, boom, boom, and then I go back to the tank. He's got red stagger, so watch this. I'm going to power word shield him, and then it goes away. Then I power word shield him, and it's going to go away. And then I power word shield him, and it goes away. And I power word shield him, and it goes away. My entire Rapture just gets sunk into one person, which is not how you always end up using Rapture, but that's the flexibility of that talent. You can put shields on everybody, or you can just keep shielding the same guy and let it disappear and refresh it and let it disappear and refresh it. So that was a really cool moment there where I ended up using pain suppression and barrier and Rapture on the tank, and nobody else took any damage. Nobody else took any damage because that's how that works out if you play it correctly. So just you need to adjust, guys. You need to adjust as a healer. Sometimes it'll change what you need to be doing. There's no like standard playstyle, generally speaking, in most keys, which is why I love healing so much. This is why it's so much fun. But the monk's just absolutely slapping. He's doing tons of damage right now, which is one thing brewmasters do bring to a key. So I just have to keep him alive. It might mean that I end up doing less damage over the course of the key. I might have to sacrifice casting some of my DPS spells in order to keep him alive, but he's going to do more than enough damage for the both of us. So here's another moment where there's a tank smack plus a breath. Ice Cutter goes into the tank, plus there's a breath. So you might want to focus on maybe do a Rapture or a healing penance on the tank to keep him alive. That's an option here. Again, adapt. There's a sub, guys. Sorry. Adapt your gameplay to fit the needs of the group that you're in. Keep that tank going, because if you keep him going, he'll keep everything else going. That's all you got to do. Just think of it that way. We clear the trash here. Let's talk about this boss, Azure Wraith. I'm just going to skip ahead. Sorry. Lee, take care of them. We love this fight. So this fight, basically, you just have to be really concerned about P2. And in P2, the most important thing you need to do is work on your positioning. So she runs to the middle of the room, and you need to be positioned so that you can see all of these health bars at the same time. If there's ever a moment where you can't see the health bars of the people that are here, then you need to move. Now, I was pugging this key, so I couldn't communicate with anybody and be like, hey, let's all group up together so that we can take less damage. I couldn't do that because I'm pugging it. So you need to take responsibility and just get into a position where you can heal everybody all the time. Because if you don't, if somebody gets out of your healing range, they're just going to rot down to death. So very important there. And then basically for that phase, guys, it's not that hard. It really isn't. You just have to pop Radiance now. Radiance is such a strong spell now. So she's going to run and do it one more time. So again, I'm spreading. This one I Rapture. So I Rapture right here. And I'm just running around, putting shields on. People are taking damage. Not a big deal. I'm just Rapturing. Big power word shields. Being very efficient. We love it. Then I'm all out of Rapture. That guy got hit by an orb. Unfortunate. You can't save people who get one-tapped. Then again, my positioning is so important. Where am I relative to everybody else? I can see all these health bars. They're all lit up, so we're good to go. Oh, I got messed up there, but I was pre-casting a penance, I think. If you can stay in the right position, Radiance will save your life. It just will. So that's all you have to really do on this fight. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, that guy went to repair. Here's the Frogger section. Mostly what I want you to think about is the Bestial Roar from the Draconid dudes. Watch how much damage this does. Boom. Takes everybody to like 60%. So the frogs are irrelevant. It's these Draconoid dudes that are really annoying. They do the charge. They shoulder pound you here. So boom. They kind of do that little football charge. And then they also do the AoE show, Bestial Roar. Here comes another one. And it does a lot of damage. So you need to watch out for both of those. I get charged again. I tried to position on the wall there so I didn't get punted very far. That is something you can do. Try to pre-position yourself so that when he does hit you with his shoulder, you're actually not getting knocked. I get targeted again. Very frustrating how many times he targeted me here. But You just have to adapt once again, guys, and just keep using penance. You could farm a penance proc actually with smite and the other spells now that all farm it up. And then if you do get charged, you could cast penance while getting charged. That's a really good strat actually for this section. Like, get your atonements out there, farm your penance proc, and then as you're getting charged, you can throw your penance into him and it will heal you back up to full without you losing any downtime. So this section is a little bit annoying for that. Just watch out for these Draconid dudes. They're going to keep charging you, and they're going to keep doing lots of damage. I did pop a barrier down here. Once again, I'm getting charged, but it doesn't matter because I'm in the barrier. I popped a barrier down just to kind of keep us all alive. Again, I'm trying to get better at using my cooldowns kind of on cooldown. But yeah, here's another shoulder slam on me. I make a mistake right here of getting shoulder slammed one more time. It's coming up here. So right here. He's casting shoulder slam. It's on me, of course, and I'm at half health. So I needed to immediately top everybody off, and I also needed to pain suppress myself or do a rapture combo here. And I didn't realize that because I haven't run this dungeon enough as a disc priest. But he's charging me right now. I'm about to die here. I died from like 70% of my max HP. So keep in mind that's something that can happen to you. You need to be topped off before he does his shoulder charge. I think he was bolstered a bit, which is why it did a bit more damage. So just keep that in mind or you're going to die. Again, they just love casting shoulder slam on us. But I was prepared that time. Look at that. I shielded myself this time. Look at what one power word shield's going to do. Boom, I took no damage. So if you're prepared for it, it'll be okay. Let's move ahead to the very last section, which has two of these guys. So 2 shoulder slams and 2 of the AoE roars. Very annoying. Again, this is a great spot to actually just pump all of your cooldowns, basically. Because, yes, the boss fight's coming up next, but it's not tyrannical. It's fortified. So I think this is a great time to pop something like Barrier and something like Rapture. And I think I go into a Rapture window here in a second. I Radiance, and I think into a Rapture window right here. Here comes Rapture. I'm getting shoulders, but it's okay. I shield myself right away. Shielding everybody. Get the tank. Get myself. The roar got off. There we go. Shields again. And the enemy's dead. So that's a great time. If you keep getting targeted by the shoulder thing, just Rapture and start running around and putting shields on people. Or farm up that penance proc, and then when you're getting shoulder bounced, press your penance to heal everybody back up. Here's the next boss. This is Talash. This is the easiest boss fight in the entire dungeon, I think. They nerfed these puddles significantly. They used to do a lot of damage, and now they take like a couple seconds before they start doing damage. They were just not a problem at all. I don't know. This boss just, like, he kind of just tickles. So there's not even too much to say. You just have to use your Radiances wisely. Again, your Radiance will heal so much now. If you want to use it, go ahead and use it, especially if you've taken the 5-second CDR like I have. But there's the puddles again. They basically just don't do any damage. So this is not a difficult fight. It will be difficult on Tyrannical, I think, but on Fortified, it's a bit of a joke. Every time you come out of a this absolute zero, you can just pop a Radiance. Watch the Radiance here. Boom. People are basically full, and then you can Atonement heal them back to full with your other buttons. Okay, that's how you want to play it. Just keep using those Radiances because they're going to save your life. Okay. Down to the final boss. Umbrel Skull? Yeah. It's got such a weird name. So, one thing about this boss is he has the stupid miasma buff, so try to pre-position yourself in the best spot you can get to so that you can reach everybody. Often, oh yeah, I want to talk about something. Often the tanks will like run really far into a corner. You have to make sure that you can heal the tanks. There's a roar going on right here. Guess who's standing in the roar? It's the hunter right here. I knew it in my head. I knew exactly what was happening here, and I could have gripped him. I just thought he knew what he was doing, and he was going to save himself, but he didn't. So this would have been a great moment for grip, and I kind of am kicking myself for not doing it. That was a big mistake, actually, on my part. Just save your friends and grip them. Here's an example of the tank running into a corner. Now I need to reposition myself because I can't even get to the tank. It's really annoying. So try to be in the middle of everybody so that you can heal them all. You can reach them all with your heals. Last big thing I want to talk about here is that there's a big like eruption spell. Unleash Destruction is what it's called. You want to pre-radiance this. So watch this. I Mind Blast twice, and then I start casting a Radiance. It's actually about a second too late. I should have been casting a second earlier, but it doesn't matter. The destruction's going to go off. People are going to take damage, and then your Radiance is going to go off, and you're going to full heal everybody with it, basically, because you can Radiance into Dark Reprimand or Penance, whatever you got up. So try to anticipate those spells as they're coming out and pre-cast your Radiance so that everybody gets topped to full. The last big mechanic that starts coming out here are these puddles, and I totally didn't see this circle on the ground, and I ended up dying to it, actually, through a barrier, which is kind of insane, but that's totally my fault. I didn't even see it on the ground. The Druid gets me right away. He was doing really well. I help kill these Fracture Orb things. Then I get stuck in no man's land here, and I'm really mad about this. These orbs will chase the healer around. I could have dispelled myself just with my regular dispel. I think I had just dispelled somebody else, so it's on cooldown, as you can see. And therefore, I end up dying out here because I don't have the ability to get away from these things. I was so frustrated by this. It didn't end up wrecking the key because the Druid rezzed me again. We hadn't used any battle reses the entire time, so we were able to finish the key. But just remember, guys, that you can get away from these things. If you can mass dispel yourself really quickly, and you can use your regular dispel to get away, and then you can like feather yourself out of there. But just don't make that same mistake that I did. So that's it. Let's take a look at the numbers really quick. Where it's at 32 something, 32.15. Let me jump ahead here. So this is the new build in action. Here's the healing that we did. Power Word Shield's huge. Still shield, you're still casting Power Word Shield a lot because of Rapture and so on. But your Atonement healing is really, really big. And that's going to be coming from all the shadow damage that your Mindbender is doing and all that extra stuff, right? So big healing there. Crystalline Reflection is still super good. And then here's our damage breakdown. You can see Inescapable Torment damage plus the Mindbender melee is accounting for about 17% of our damage, just below Purge the Wicked. So Mindbender is adding a tremendous amount of extra damage. Expiation is here. This is the thing that where your Mind Blast and your Shadow Word Death consume some of the Purge the Wicked dot and do extra damage. Very, very good. It's always hovering around 4 to 5% of my damage from what I've been able to see in my dungeons. And that's how it breaks down. Shadow Word Death doing lots of extra damage as well because we're proccing it more often than we normally would, trying to get in those Inescapable Torment damage. So that's it, guys. That's the breakdown. That was my Disc Priest key. That's a plus 16 Azure Vaults that we did. I'm a little rusty. Not going to lie, I'm a little bit rusty. But let me tell you, this build feels incredibly strong. I love playing this build. It just feels so good. Like I can't like harp on it enough. It just feels like you have such a smooth gameplay loop. When the Shadow guy comes out, you pop your Atonement, and then he's just healing everybody and doing tons of damage. If you need a cooldown, you got Rapture. If you need another cooldown, you got Power Word Barrier. If you need a single target cooldown, you've got Protector of the Frail, giving you a second pain suppression charge. This thing is so crazy. I don't even have the Azure Vault 16 on here. Yeah, that was some different dungeons, but I just think it's really smooth, and it feels like not only the shield build is good, but you only really have the shields going on with the shield build, and with this it feels like you have an extra layer of support there. So once you get your atonements rolling, you can get all the shadow damage going. You still have Rapture, you still have Barrier, and you have 2 pain subs. I really enjoy it. I love it. I had so much fun playing this. I'm really enjoying trying to play Disc Priest and sort of get to a place where I feel comfortable with the healing style. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this video. I know it's a longer one. I apologize for that, but I just wanted to make sure I covered everything for you. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in those comments down below about Disc Priest. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.